What is going on, marking?
How you doing?
Good, man. Today we're going to be peeling back the layers of truth on crab mentality, also known as crab pot mentality, crabs in a bucket, um, crab pot effect. And basically, it's if I can't have it, neither can you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's very prevalent in the Filipino community and probably in all cultures, but I know for us, it's pretty much in our face. So, my question to you is, have you ever done that?
Have I ever
Been one of those crabs pulling someone down?
it's interesting. So we've talked in the about how in the past I have this theater background. And one of these shows that we did was a show called Chismis,
Yes.
which in Tagalog, chismis means gossip. Uh, it was a successful show.
Yeah, I think I was one of the audience members
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
show.
So Chismis was basically a show that was a social commentary on crab mentality, like
Mhm.
how it is prevalent in our communities and the effects of it. And it was so popular. We sold out the show. It was a 3-week, 4-week run, and we sold out every show except the very first show. I point that out because one, I think because of the content of what the show was, resonated with so many people in our community that people were interested. They were curious to see what our take was on it. It was so popular that same year we did a second version of Chismis called Merry Chismis, which was the Christmas version of it. So to answer your question, have I been a part of crab mentality? If you asked me that question before the show, I would have not known what you were talking about. But after being exposed to crab mentality, the concept of crab mentality, seeing how it affects communities, I will wholeheartedly say that I have probably been every type of crab there's been in that barrel at some point in my life. Um,
I thought you were
whether
going to say you weren't one of those crabs.
Oh no, for sure,
You were
for
one of
sure.
those crabs.
I
Okay,
was definitely
got it.
one of those crabs. I
Yeah.
was one of those crabs that was trying to get out, and I was one of those crabs that definitely talked shit about people and pulled them back down.
Can you give me an example of what that felt like and how you actually, you know, went
Uh,
about it? Like, did
well,
you get caught up in the gossip and then you would go after the same people or person?
yeah, I definitely recognized, especially more so now because I'm on way on the other side of the personal development and being self aware. But yeah, I definitely, when you're talking shit about somebody else, it made me feel, or when I was talking shit about somebody else, it made me feel good. It
Mm.
made me feel like, okay, you're not better than me. It was comparison, it was competitiveness. And it wouldn't have been so bad if it was just maybe one or two times that I was talking about a person.
Yeah.
But if I were to be honest with myself and look back, it's like, oh wow, I really talked a lot of shit about this person or this thing and was not really contributing to resolving it or making it a better situation. I would get caught up in just talking shit with people. That is definitely one of the experiences that I recall on how I felt about it. I've also been, one of those people who was really busting my ass to achieve some of the things that I wanted to achieve as an actor or as a director, and received a lot of shit talking where people were like bashing me or trying to pull me down, and that never feels good. But then you try to reframe it. It's like, oh, there's always going to be haters, which is not a bad practice, but when you feel like a community is pulling you down, or is not providing support, or a family member in that case, or in some cases, like being pulled is not a good feeling either. Not a good feeling.
Can you give me an example of that? Like, were they doing that in front of your face, or were they, you would hear all that gossip behind your back?
Sometimes it was both. Sometimes people
Was
had the
it
courage.
was it criticism, or like on your directing debut, or whatever you're acting, or
I can't think of a specific time when it really it affected me. I can't remember the details, but I do remember the energetic essence of it, that like that just didn't feel good.
it was negative? It was negative.
Yeah, I'm sure if I, as we go, like if there's another conversation that pops it to mind, I can share that perspective. But right off the bat, like experiencing that, because it's been so long, right? I just haven't really engaged in that kind of behavior. I'm very, how would you say, very self-aware in that sense of seeing when that type of behavior is around me. And I get to do what I get to do around that, whether it's create boundaries around that, or engage in it, or whatever, engage in the sense of like, yeah, this is not healthy patterns.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate you saying that, or whatever the case may be. What about you? Like, have you?
Well, no, well, wait a second. I'm not done with asking my questions regarding you, because you brought it up.
Okay. That would.
Am I pulling you down?
No. I would just, the insight on there is like, why are you deflecting? But no, please, let's. Let's
No.
the questioning.
The question is, one of my questions is, when you were pulling somebody down, was it because you saw them more successful than you, or was it just getting into the gossip? And you know how people get caught up in the gossip, and then you want to be part of the tribe and team, and like, yeah, he did that, yeah, that sucked, or whatever.
It's all of that. It's me wanting to be better. It's doing whatever it takes to make that person not feel as good so that I could be better. It was engaging in the chismes or the gossip as a way to be accepted by other people that were talking trash. Yeah. It was a form of protection, so that like, oh, if I'm talking trash about that person, then it's again, my ego gets to be bigger and protect myself, so that no one else will talk shit about me. Like, a lot of those different feelings and experiences took place when I was not being conscious about my crab mentality patterns and behaviors.
You just said something that really caught my attention, where you were felt like your ego was getting big, and it protected you. Can you go deeper into that, if you remember what that feeling was like when that happened?
Well, again, what we get to recognize is that ego, its primary directive is to keep us safe.
Yes.
Right. If we're just walking down the street at our most neutral ways of being, that is our most calm. But if something jumps out, we're already on red alert. We're like, oh shit. That's the mode of operation as our ego. So ego would according to the framework that we're using, ego plus some sort of stress involved in that, whether it's like, oh, I feel like that guy's threatening me. That's a level of stress. His acting skills threaten me, so I'm going to talk shit to make myself feel safe. Like, oh no, you don't read your lines well. You read your lines. I fucking act my shit. You know what I mean? Like, I would take that perspective, maybe talk shit about that person, either to the face or just behind their back.
Really? That was my next question.
So that was me, my ego being inflamed, trying to protect itself.
Yeah.
It went into high crisis mode, high survival mode, it was almost an attack, because I felt threatened. So my ego is going to get big and protect myself and be like, oh yeah, I'm better than you. I'm a better actor than you. You know what I mean? That would be an example of how my ego got inflamed and became very super protective.
Now, in the community, what is that for you? Have you experienced that in just like hanging out with family and friends and that because that wasn't like in a container for you, the acting, right? But have you experienced it outside of that?
So acting was the container that I saw that in. It was more pointed out to me in the theater because of the show, right?
Yeah.
And it was interesting because when we did that show, like I really did start to notice like how much gossip goes on in our communities, and doing a show on that really pointed out the fact that how much it really just pulls a community down. And when you're a part of a community, especially in an activist type of community, when you fight so hard to get things that you want for your cause, and then people are talking shit about it and they start to pull you down, like it's not a healthy way of evolving ourselves as individuals or as a community. So again, what was interesting about us doing a show about chismes and crab mentality, it was actually taking place within our community at the same time, even amongst the people in that show.
So you guys, it was like method acting. You guys really.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, yeah, of course, it was just method acting. We're just method acting. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I was method acting.
That was good. It looked good on stage.
Yeah. And, like being witness to that and really, that really caused me to take a step back. It's like, do I really want to engage in any of the gossip that's going on? And when I saw more specifically how that was working and the mechanics of that, and then I could see where those types of behaviors were happening in other parts of my life, other communities that I was involved with, or other even family members, like you start to see that gossip and how much it's prevalent in that crab mentality. And when I started to see and recognize those behaviors, then it was an effort to really, one, be self-aware about that, and two, figure out how I'm going to navigate through that. Because back then I was still early in my personal development on how I wanted to maneuver and manage those different things in crab mentality. But eventually, like, I mean, the answer to your question is, I once I saw that take place, like I chose not to engage in that. And that in itself was a process.
What kind of process was that for you?
Again, it's more practice in being self-aware. Like, am I engaging in this, or am I recognizing it? Am I engaging it? If I am engaging it in the crab mentality, how do I want to, if I'm engaging in the conversation, am I doing it with the intention of adding fuel to the fire, or am I doing it with the intention of trying to solve something? That became a huge distinction for me. Like, if I'm going to engage in talking about someone or something, let me back up. What it's really evolved for me is how I deal with crab mentality. Like, you can talk shit about somebody as a way to vent, get different perspective, move energy out of yourself. But if you're talking shit about somebody or a situation, if you're talking shit about somebody or a situation, and you do it more than 3 times, then you're just fucking complaining, right? Like, you get to recognize, like, oh yeah, you're just complaining. You're just enjoying talking shit. And if that's, and when you start to recognize that for yourself, that's when you start to, get you allow yourself to make different decisions. For me, it's if that threshold, if I get to that threshold of talking shit more than 3 times, then my choice becomes either, one, I accept what's taking place and I no longer get to talk shit about it because I'm just accepting it. I'm accepting all the shit that's taking place, whether it's the shit talking or other people just gossiping. Like, I get to accept what's taking place, uh, because I'm not doing anything about it. Because I choose not to say anything about it. So there's acceptance, or there's you do something about it in the sense of like, hey, I don't really want to engage in this conversation. And if you continue to do so, then I get to create boundaries around that. So you either say something or you don't say anything. Those are pretty much the staples. Like you either say something and do something about it, so it's no longer complaining, or you don't say anything at all and you just accept it. You have no right to complain.
Is that like sweeping it under the rug so that those feelings are still there?
If those feelings are still there, it could be an act of sweeping it under the rug, but that's a nuance, right? Like if I'm choosing to accept what's taking place,
Yeah.
that means I'm telling myself this no longer has an effect on me. Like I'm
Yeah.
okay with people just talking shit or me engaging in shit. The trick is if it continues to happen, then do you say something else or do you continue? Like it's a practice in finding where that threshold is for you.
Got it. It's almost like the negativity. Like, how does that feel in your body?
Mm-hmm.
Does it weigh you down when you hear gossip like that, or like, dude, why are you talking about people like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you get to be super honest with yourself. Like, is this really affecting you? And if it is affecting you, then you get to say something. And if you choose not to say anything, that means you get to suck it up. You
Yeah.
get to suck up whatever it is that you're feeling. But if that behavior continues and it still affects you, like again, you get to make you have to have that conversation with yourself. Am I going to be a party to this? Is it still energetically affecting me? Or am I going to say something?
Do you feel like, because you're in the acting arena, do you feel like when someone made it and you talk shit about them, you tried to pull them down, that actually causes people below them or people who are trying to be just like them not become them? Does that make sense? Like you're actually pulling these people down or trying to. And
Mm.
I think what it does is it those people that are trying to be just like that person who made it, it doesn't allow them to move forward and become
Yeah.
successful like them.
Well, I mean, that's definitely can be one of the results or fallout of crab mentality, right? Like there's just so many different things that are not healthy about crab mentality. And when you start to have that on your radar and you start to see exactly what the effects are of crab mentality, that you're aware of that and how it's affecting people, how it's making other people feel, how it's making your community feel, then you get to ask you get to ask that question. Do I really want to be a part of that? Do I want to nurture that? Especially if you're an activist in a community, because the whole idea is to lift up everybody.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
get to ask yourself, like, okay, am I really a part of my cause, like at another level, or am I going to continue to engage in that? And let's be, like, I'll be very clear, like, there are definitely communities that I've been a part of that still engage in the gossip when they know it's not healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even in family, like I have family members that talk shit all the time. Like, and I had to say something to it's like, listen, I am not interested in having these conversations where we're talking shit about a cousin or an aunt or an uncle.
Mm.
I get it. If you want to complain about it, you get to complain. Like you get to complain. You get to vent out. You get to try to see if there's anything you can do. Like you get that opportunity to do that. But if you, after 3 or 4 times, you're not doing anything, then you become part of the problem.
You just keep trying to pull them down
Yeah.
with your
And if,
words. Yeah.
and if family matters to you, if community matters to you, and you know that crab mentality is not a healthy behavior, then you get to make a choice. Operate from an inflamed ego, which
Yeah.
is what crab mentality is, or do you want to operate from your higher self? Where do you want to operate from? And more importantly, is engaging in this type of behavior or whatever behavior, is it in alignment with your mission statement or your North Star?
Thank you for listening to the Artistry in Life podcast. Stay tuned for part 2.